Do you want to angle it so they're not staring
May
at
I
the
see it?
Yeah.
You have a problem with
Eh,
How's that? That's okay.
You know,
Just don't want to take them on.
Okay, so we're gonna call our regular meeting start. We do have an agenda, but I think since we have a guest tonight, that we may start with our auditor.
I put
You
him
want
first.
to do the introductions?
I'm sorry.
Alan Walther.
Right.
All right, yeah, I'll introduce myself. My name is Alan Walther. I'm a partner with the Bond Deal Group. We have, completed the audit of the library and provided, draft reports to Joy, which I think she emailed to everybody. Hopefully, people have had a chance to look at them. Yes, no,
I think we've received those yet.
you have not.
We have not.
No.
Okay.
And I think it's on the Dropbox.
Yes. it
Oh, it is as a separate.
So it's got,
It,
okay.
it was put on today, I believe, so people may not.
It's,
have
it's still a draft though.
It's still a draft.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, but we're done. We're, we don't think that anything will change. But so, I would like to just, present the overall results of the audit. So I guess the biggest thing that we saw this year, with the library is the library joined the New York State retirement system, in the middle of July. Okay, and because of that, there is an accounting standard that you're required to comply with, to recognize your proportionate share of liability that passes through from the New York State retirement system. However, because of the timing, the library could not fully comply, so we had to give a qualified opinion on your government-wide financial statement. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Just kind of a technicality. Next year, when you're in the system for the retirement system's fiscal year end of March 31st, you'll be able to comply fully. Okay, so we just kind of got caught in an unfortunate situation. Otherwise, audit went well. There were some adjustments with regards to moving capital projects around. And with regards to the way that the library has investments in treasury bills, with the way that those were handled. But so we got all that corrected. We believe the financial statement is fairly presented, so we can jump into that. The financial statement, the library actually presents three separate financial statements: a government-wide financial statement, general fund, and capital projects fund. The opinions that we will be providing on the financial statements, we will give a qualified opinion on the government-wide financial statement, and that means that we're okay with, we believe that the financial statement presents fairly, except for the retirement system piece. Okay, and again, in the future, we believe that qualification will go away. For the general fund and the capital projects fund, we gave an unmodified opinion on your financial statements, which is the highest level of assurance that we give on your financial statements. Okay. So some of the highlights for the year, looking at your government-wide financial statements, which are, basically what the government-wide financial statements are, is the general fund plus the capital fund, plus your capital assets, which don't show up in the funds, minus your long-term liability. So the highlights here at the government-wide, total current assets are $1,030,000, of which $767,000 is cash and $202,000 is investments. That's your investment in treasury bills. Your capital assets net of accumulated depreciation are approximately $1.4 million. That's this building, the Lansingburg branch, and various equipment. Your total current liabilities are $275,000. The largest piece of that is 230,000 of unearned revenue, and what that represents is some grant money that you've received for capital projects that we haven't spent yet. And then your long-term long-term liabilities, the only long-term liability that the library has are compensated absences, which is accumulated sick days and vacation days to employees of $36,000. So the accounting formula is assets, total assets minus total liabilities, gives you your net position. So the library's net position as of December 31st is a little bit over 2.1 million, of which $1.4 million is invested in the buildings. There's no debt on the buildings. $1.4 million is invested in the buildings, right? You can't spend that because it's not in cash. 20,000 is restricted and 697,000 is unrestricted. Okay. At the fund level, as I said, that we separated out the capital projects from the general fund, so that's why we show two funds in your financial statements. And at the fund level, the general fund, your total assets are $1,091,000, which is the $767,000 of cash that we spoke about previously, $200,000 in investments. Your total liabilities are $35,000, which are accrued liabilities, which is payroll, predominantly tax payable. And then your total fund balance for the general fund is a little bit over $1 million. Okay, so it's a very, very solid fund balance. The capital projects fund, you have a little bit over $12,000 of total assets, $310,000 of liabilities. So that the capital projects fund has a fund deficit of approximately $298,000. Okay, so of that fund deficit, the $298,000, $230,000 of it will be eliminated as you recognize that unearned revenue, but there still is an approximately $70,000 deficit in the capital projects funds that will be eventually need to be funded by the general fund. Okay, so you, as the the projects are completed, when everything's completed, we can help you, figure out how much this to settle up, I guess, with capital projects fund to eliminate that deficit. Okay. Operations wise, the general fund took in a little bit over $1.6 million of total revenue, of which $1,444,000 was property taxes. So those are the taxes the library levies and the city of Troy collection remits to you. And then there was $132,000 of grants, donations, and other income in the general fund. The general fund expenditures are classified as culture and recreation. That's the way New York State classifies. That's the librarians, all the operations of the library, plus employee benefits, $225,000. Included in that $225,000 of the employee benefits was, I think it was $78,000 that was paid, your initial deposit that was paid to the state retirement system. So it's a pretty big chunk of fund in July. With regard to the capital projects, $53,000 of revenue came in, $68,000 of expenditures. So you ran a $14,000 deficit this current year, added to your deficit for the prior year, the $297,000. But as I said, as you recognize that under revenue, that will wipe out a pretty significant chunk of it, but there will be a fund deficit remaining that needs to be funded by the general fund. We did have one financial statement finding as a material weakness, just regards to the accounting for the capital projects funds, because we had to split that out in with regards to the accounting for the treasury bills. So we worked with Joy to get those squared away, and, you know, as I said, we're comfortable with the way the financial statements are presented now.
When you say presenting now, you're,
In the audited form, and then when we complete the audit and everything is signed off on, we do provide entries to Joy. She'll record those and she'll get her records, in sync with the audit. So that's the extent of my comments, unless there's any questions.
Thank you so much for the high level breakdown. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank you.
so you're recommending that the capital and also the investment of the bills, the T-bills be separated from the operating budget.
The T-bills, the T-bills are okay in operations. The
Okay.
capital projects need to be separated because they're not budgeted for and they're funded for separately. So we've worked, you know, again, we've worked with Joy and identified everything and kind of done journal entries to split those apart. But that's really the primary reasoning. If you think about it too, your operating budget is an annual budget, right? The tax levies every year, the capital projects goes on, so it's completed, so it's multiple years.
So, and I know you've worked with Joy about that, but I understand that there's some difficulty trying to reflect that in the software. And I think that somebody from your firm was going to check with your Peachtree, to see whether they had a resolution for that.
Yeah, we'll follow up with Joy. She should be able to create a new fund. It's either a new fund or a new entity. I mean, she could call it a new entity and just call it Troy Library Capital Projects.
My understanding is to create what I think is a new entity. I think she used the term book. It
Okay,
would cost us an additional $900 a year and not be really reflected of the reality of the
Sure.
situation. It's not a separate company.
Marie, what software is this specifically?
Peachtree.
Peachtree? Okay.
So
I think you
anyway,
can continue, I mean, you can continue the way you are, and we'll have to split it out every year. I do understand what you're saying. It's not a new. The library is a government, right? So technically, you guys have a tax levy, you're a government, and because you're a government, you have the separate funds. So when you have capital projects, it needs to be presented that way. If the board decides to leave, you know, well enough alone and leave it that way, it's okay, but we'll have the same comment every year.
now I'm not arguing to leave it as it is. I actually like the idea of the capital being separated. I'm just saying that we're having difficulty trying to figure out how to do that with the software and would like your help.
Okay, we'll follow up with Joy, and I guess this is the perfect timing, so we can, you know, as the audit completes, you get it separated.
Right, so if you have insight from,
Okay, yep,
you know, your connections, your
Okay.
networking, that would be very helpful.
okay,
How it can be done without it being a separate book or a separate company.
okay, okay.
That would be
Okay.
great. And sorry, Joy had another commitment, so
Yeah,
she couldn't be
she's-
here tonight.
Change for someone. That time of year.
Yeah, it's difficult, you know, to operate the way we do in some sense. Because technically, we're covering that deficits with operational funds in the, with the capital projects. So it's mixed. It's not totally separate. It would be probably easier to monitor if, you know, our bookkeeping would be able to keep it separate somehow, but anyway.
Thank you. Here, we're saying. Keep the same. For ledger. And just add. The accounts for the capital, if you put H, there should be an A fund for general, H for capital, just create H accounts. That would probably work. We will work with Joy to figure that out. But I think that's probably a way to do it, and still be one ledger, but we should be able to separate the A's from the H's and kind of have, you know, one ledger but two funds. Any other questions? Congratulations, Paul. I know you're retiring soon. I saw the article in the Times Union on
Yeah,
Saturday, so well,
well,
well deserved.
the time has come.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night. Take care. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, so back to the agenda. With some tweaks. Do we have any public comment? I'm adding you later.
Okay.
I'm putting you with the right. Not yet.
Do you have any other commitments? I'm
She's
like,
leaving.
it's okay. I don't want to hold people
I know.
hostage, so.
And I'm just gonna get through a couple of things and then.
Sure.
we'll just change it.
I'm
I
being
thought-
polite at one.
And I'm not? Thank you. Okay, so no public comments? Treasury report and approval of expenditures.
Okay, the finance committee recommended payment of the bills in the total of $77,153.28. I so move.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have our consent agenda. I think it's gonna be a rather unorthodox night.
Oh, no.
Yes. So, this is a bit unusual. And I think you'll understand why, hopefully. So in our consent agenda, we have approval of the minutes of the meeting held May 14th, the outreach committee report, a president's report, and then the building committee report. So first thing, I'm just trying to make sure that your concerns are met. We are going to be approving up for approval are two reports that are in the drop box. But just in case they were going through the process. So one was for the meeting on January 24th. One was for the meeting on February 28th. I have copies here in case anybody wants them. Also, there are two that were in the Dropbox. A little confused, but you keep saying there's something missing. There's two reports that you submitted for this packet. So April 24th and May 22nd. So altogether, there are 4 different reports.
I thought we approved
We
several
did.
of them last meeting.
We did, but no, we didn't. There was some that weren't in there. It was still a question if you go back. So those are the 4 dates that we have. Again, 2 of them are already in the Dropbox, but we are going to go through the process of putting them in the approval. And those 2. So I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as said. Do we have a second?
Second?
Discussion.
I have a question. We had several meetings for which we have no minutes. Will those minutes be forthcoming?
Could you be more specific about several?
Well, we had three meetings, which I don't know whether they were the search committee meeting or the administrative committee meeting.
Well,
So-
you're correct.
so
So we
we-
have one more to add to this, which is the directors. There is an update.
Right, but we don't have the minutes.
Because of the nature of some of them, there aren't minutes, if you remember.
Well, there should be minutes. Even when we were in executive session, we came out and there were motions. So there should be minutes from
Well, the motion will be
all three.
brought up in number 3.
Right.
And don't forget, this is a committee. Committees do not follow always the same rules as the regular board meeting. This is just an easier way of getting through it. There is updates that the staff can see in here. So we haven't done minutes per se of that, and we are not meeting as the admin committee per se either. But all the things that have been done within those meetings are in the updates. It's just a different strategy for dealing with the,
No, I'm not
updating
sure,
people.
I'm not sure whether that would meet the open meeting law.
yes, it does. And I have a legal opinion on that.
Okay, ordinarily you have to record it, it's desired that you record what motions that occur.
And we have recorded that motion, and we're going to bring it up in number 3 on today's agenda.
We only had one motion.
At the
Yeah,
last admin committee meeting, yes,
that's it, only one.
I got it right here.
Didn't we have a motion with the one that we went into executive session?
That's
That's the motion.
Yeah,
That's the only motion we've had throughout these meetings.
So in the that was the first meeting.
no, that was the
No.
that was the most recent one.
We only had a motion.
Mhm. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so all in favor of approving the consent agenda as? Right, thank you. Now, this morning I got a request from Freda Berzon, the president of the Friends, who asked if this is Phil Brazier. She is here as a member of the Friends. Phil, do you have, I'm sorry if I don't remember who's taking what officership and if Vice President of the Friends, sorry.
Welcome back,
And
Vice President.
Phil, if you want to update us, so we're just gonna fiddle with it, so you either can make the decision of staying or not staying if you'd like.
I would like to just let 2 things to report. Saturday, we had a huge book fair, a book sale, and thank you so much for being a part of it.
Very well.
We got about $1,200, and we sold at least 14 books. So that's a lot of books.
Oh, yes.
And we saved off the rain, so that's really good. The second thing is the appeals letter has gone in. I just checked the mailbox and there's 9 envelopes there already. It's asking for $10,000 to match an anonymous $10,000 donor, and that money will go to the Lansingburg Library. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. I'm
Well,
glad
So
to hear. it
I
was
have a question, and it just
sound-
occurred to me. So the $10,000 will go, but like the matched money, is that earmarked for Lansingburg as well or not? Or only the 10,000?
Well, 20,000.
All 20 has to go to Lansingburg? Okay.
And does that help with the repairs that are needed, or is it just to Lansingburg
To Lansingburg.
for that site?
Like, there's no specific.
Nice. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Not less books to carry in, I'm not sure.
We're still accepting donations, so we can do this again.
Yay, this time I'm gonna be
I
around.
have a whole bunch of cookbooks in my car to drop off.
Okay, so back to our regularly scheduled agenda. Paul, next thing on is the 2025 budget.
Oh dear, okay, I gotta go back down here to where we are. I can borrow this
You can have that. I am gifting that to you.
because I've already got a written thing here. I put together a 2025 budget. The total expenses would indicate that we needed about a 13.31% increase in the tax levy to a total of 1.811374 thousand. Um, if we go through what I did, um, on the, books and materials portion of the budget, I increased that by 10.4%. It is not entirely adequate, but it sort of keeps us in place. Alex had asked how much it should be, and I said 200,000 basically would be a reasonable book budget for this size library. So we are a bit short there, but under the facilities portion of the budget, we're looking at an increase of about 8%, a little over 8%. A lot of that is driven by an increase in utilities, gas and electric. And that's a rough estimate, but I think it's probably in keeping with what National Grid is talking about at this stage. They haven't finalized the increases yet. In addition, during the Finance Committee, it was suggested that I budgeted a little more in building maintenance. I budgeted 16,000. It was suggested we go to 20,000 on that portion of the budget. And it was also suggested under building contingency, I had budgeted it the same at 10,000. It was suggested we go to 15,000 on that. So we could do that, but I don't have final figures on that. I have to go through and figure out the impact on the tax levy. The salary portion of the budget. Now, in that portion, in the May meeting, last meeting, I presented a new salary schedule. If I use that salary schedule, and then I add the community relations position, the full-time position, and that would be at the library associate level. And then I throw in a little bit for additional director cost. We come out at about 18% increase on the salary line. We go down to totals, the total salary and benefits line comes out to be about 12.5%. Based on less expense in the whole retirement area, because we spent half the year this year with TIAA contributions, which those we won't have. So this year, or yeah, this last bill from the New York State Retirement System, which we paid already, was 77,000. So this takes into account a possible increase in the retirement expense. Under operation, there were some increases based on current experience and experience from our budget of 2023. So I increased some areas. Oh, here it is, I think. Yeah, 21% across the board. Now, some of that is due to increase in special services, which is kind of experience we're seeing, CDTA particularly. However, that is reimbursed, so that's part of our income as well. So I've already budgeted 43,000 in income and budgeted 42,000 in expenses. But it helps to increase that line in the operating portion of the budget. The other thing that's increased there is insurance costs. We expect that that's going to increase. Other other than that, most of those expenses are fairly similar. Supplies, we're finding we need a bit more in, the supply area. We tend to, go over that. So a total of the expenses looks like an increase of about 13.9% overall. Those numbers could change a little tiny bit, based on, recommendations from the finance committee. And that's it.
Anyone have questions, comments? Especially those who were not here before.
Well, I would, you are gonna do this, I would like to see, the budget with the recommendations at a finance committee. That's my only comment, which I assume you're already gonna do, so thank you.
I will say that with two of the buildings that we do have, the building contingency would be 100,000. I mean,
I believe it.
on an annual basis.
Yeah.
It's pretty common in what I saw looking at other libraries' budgets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We can
we
get,
have to face reality too.
Thank you for your
Right.
work with the committee on this.
So going on to the next thing then. Interim director. So as we talked about the issue of Paul's retirement,
Before we do that, could I ask a question?
that's what I asked if people had questions.
It's not quite on the budget. The community specialist, are we looking to fill that this year?
The what, who?
The community specialist?
This would be 2025.
Specialist?
Yeah, this is not filled this year. It's not in the budget. It would be in 2025.
We don't have money in the budget?
No, look at the expense on salaries to date.
What if we look at going forward, the salaries?
It's what?
What if we look at going forward in terms of salaries? So I, we
You're
talk-
saying we're be saving some money,
yeah,
you know?
that perhaps could be used for the community engagement specialist.
I don't think it's that much.
What money?
But you're also only gonna be paying them for by the time you hire them, or we could be paying them August, September. I don't know.
Perhaps we can look at that
Well-
and see whether we can do that, because it would be nice.
What money are you using? I'm sorry.
I feel like the cart before the horse.
Yeah,
I don't know whether I'm comfortable talking about it in the public meeting.
are we talking about specific people's salaries?
Yes,
Okay. Maybe we can table this discussion then?
or maybe if we can work on it
Outside.
outside the board meeting,
Sure.
but I think it would be good to look at.
A specific committee look at it.
I'd be happy to.
Finance committee.
Finance committee. I think you're a very, you would like to see things done in committees, like, so I'm sure to understand which committee.
Working on a proposal, I think it doesn't have to be done within a committee.
Really?
A proposal to the committee.
Oh. Glad to hear the flexibility. I applaud it.
That it, Marie? Okay. So, interim director, is, you know that there's going to be a period of time between Paul's retirement and the actual assumption of the position by a new permanent director. and that we went through the process of creating a job, as civil service calls it, temporary director. We're gonna call it internally the interim director. We've gone through the possibilities here. We've spoken to a particular individual, discussed the potential. And we've been very lucky that Christiane Gibault has agreed to take on this position. And sorry, it's,
It walks in, sorry.
and we'll be a little too late in the next few minutes.
You
too.
have 2 whole minutes. The joke for the record, for me in the future.
So for those who may not know, Christiane has had experience in the role of a library director and within this system, having been the director of the Cohoes Public Library. Christiane is now the head librarian, Adult Services Department. So she's head of the department. As in the update, Christiane will take a leave of absence, take on the role of interim library director to keep this library going forward in the period of time, to keep us operating during this period of time. She'll also be working with the staff of Adult Services also. I know people have I know most of us have been at each of these meetings. Does anyone have any questions? Especially for Christiane at this point? Nope. All right. Alex, would you like to read the motion?
Yes. What do I call that committee? The admin committee or the search committee?
Search committee.
Okay, that's the only part I didn't have worked out.
Or we call it the board.
Board, I guess.
It is really the board.
The Director Search Committee recommends to the full board the appointment of Christiane Gibault to the position of Temporary Director, Troy Civil Service, effective the 2nd of July, 2024. What did the salary say? That was part of the
Troy Public Library.
Temporary Director in the Troy Civil Service System. Wait, sorry, I wasn't sure about reading
I thought we
the
decided
salary.
we would, only because it is something that is public
Yes.
knowledge and it's our fiduciary responsibility.
Cool.
So, sorry, we have to.
Apologies for the stuttering nature of this. For civil service, effective 02 July 2024, with a salary of $75,000 per year, for a maximum term of 6 months. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Christiane. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you so,
Yeah.
so very much.
We look forward to working with you in the interim.
Paul and I have actually already connected with them, all started my chat with them, so definitely.
Excellent. And Paul, the staff has been made aware,
Yes,
I believe.
yes, they have.
Excellent.
Good question.
Okay, here we go. Next thing, election. So we talked about the election. Usually everyone wants to keep it on to Tuesday. Are we still agreed with it staying on a Tuesday because people like Tuesday elections? All right. September. People have also traditionally here liked the fact it would be later in the month than earlier in the month. The last day is Tuesday, the 24th. Is that an agreeable date? Do people want it sooner? And I think I see a question. What month?
September.
September. Oh, yeah. That's our traditional month, is September.
Is it clear your holiday.
Yes, it does. That was actually the first thing I looked at.
Since this calendar only has Catholic saints days.
Oh, ecumenical, yes. The other holidays don't start until October, so we're good. So
And we're keeping, Lansingburg, we figured out a way to use Lansingburg as a
we'll
polling
get to
place.
that. Let's get the date down first.
Okay.
So the 24th? Aye, okay. So we're working on, I take it you've heard, I did a site visit today. People at the Bird, Lori Breyer had suggested that we use the bookseller as the location for the election. I did a little walkthrough. You can get a wheelchair through there. There's a way of putting the desk up front for the members of the League of Women Voters. And putting the little cubbies through at the back windows through the aisles of books to afford some privacy for people who are actually casting their ballot. I said it would be discussed tonight to make sure that we are all in agreement that that is what is best for the public. I know, Carolyn, you mentioned last time that people would be one of the last times we met, that people would be disappointed if it wasn't at the library. But we also have to balance out whether or not people will feel comfortable and feel that their vote is private too. And I think we can make it private.
I mean, you can make it as private in there as it was in the other room.
That's true. But it's just the things you have to think about as you go through the discussion. It's not just an easy, yay, let's just do it. So any thoughts, other considerations?
I don't know if this is gonna come up in the director's report, but I'm just thinking about the accessibility of that space. I don't know if we'll have a timeline for when that new ADA ramp might be on the east entrance to the library. Just thinking about,
I'm gonna vote that.
okay, cool.
Okay.
In the Lansingburg portion
Okay,
of my
That's,
report.
that's,
I have to jump ahead.
I
Yes,
did,
it'll be done.
Okay,
I wanted to make sure things were going orderly.
excellent, that works. But we also have the other access. I know there is some consideration of not doing that, but hopefully the number of people who might need to do that
I mean,
can be accommodated, because otherwise we are keeping people from their vote.
and I dragged 1,000 books through there last weekend, so there's plenty of room.
So, that is just something that you have to balance out.
No, I understand. It was just a question.
So we have accessibility, we have the road, we can have the privacy, we have the date. And if we do our meet the candidates night defensive budget, we did it last year in the actual library section, and we can do that again because that part was not destroyed. I think we can use Lansingburg as a site for all the pieces and parts of this. So I don't think we need to make a motion. I don't think we need to make this formal, but I think we have all agreed that we're a go. Correct? Excellent.
Sounds good.
And then
Are we scheduling the meet the candidates now?
we can do that, yes. Usually we do it that September date. The same day that we have our board meeting, which is the second Tuesday of the month, which is September 10th.
That's at the Main, and then
Excuse me,
that's at Main, right?
that's at Maine. Usually we do the 12th, but I do know that the Capitol Roots dinner is that night. We may want to pick another day for that, for the one in Lansingburg.
The 11th?
That's an Upper Hudson meeting day.
Well, you'd want it on like a time when the library would be closed too, so you'd want it on like the Thursday, so the 19th, is that too late? It's getting pretty
Or
close.
let's see, what's their Wednesdays like?
17?
We could do it on the 17th. Let me check in with Lori Breyer about what she's got planned to.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we do have Maine's date. We just need to figure out Burke State. Anything else that's done
About the election?
about the
Are we still, so when are we making the announcement that we're looking for candidates? I mean, shouldn't we, should be doing that soon?
Yes,
But we also have to have an idea when the petitions come out and when they got to be back.
30 days before the date of the election, so 30 days before September 24th.
8/24.
5 p.m. Close the business. 5 p.m.
Right for you.
We can count those days to make sure.
So Lansing was the 19th, is that correct?
No, we didn't make,
Yeah,
that's
we
a
have to talk to
TBD.
Lori about that.
We don't have to.
Pencil in for the 17th, but it's not confirmed.
That is correct.
So who makes it, who actually, do you send out the announcement about the candidates?
No, I think,
You do?
I did in the past, anybody,
So,
doesn't mean I.
so can you do it before you leave? or-
Yeah, I can do it tomorrow.
Great. Sooner the better. Because we know that people will be,
But
there's certain people who will be
Before, I
looking
didn't
for.
have an actual date of the election.
Right, so now,
But
now
now
you're
I
all
do.
set,
What did you say?
because there will be certain people who will be looking for it.
You?
No. No problem.
All right, director's report.
I've done some of it. I wanted to, cover, I've, got a meeting tomorrow with Mayor Mantello to discuss some of the issues that, we've experienced, some of the more recent incidents. And, particularly police response. And trying to pin down some procedural issues when it comes to people doing First Amendment audits. And an understanding on the part of the police department and on the part of the city that the library doesn't need to maintain order. And we do have a code of conduct, which we believe is entirely legal. And so we have things to discuss.
I hope that conversation goes well, and I'm looking forward to.
Well,
Hearing
yeah,
about
I mean, I thought, I think it's gonna be designed on my part anyway to improve relations and
I do.
so hopefully we'll be on a better footing going forward. And I don't think they have understood and the impact that some of these incidents have had on our staff and so they need to know these things. The safety committee is currently wrapping up some loose ends. We sort of suspended operations until we have a new director on board and reestablished a safety committee. Lansingburg, the New York State Public Library Construction Grant Portal is open. I've already filed an application which outlines a grant which would involve the renovation of the YPS room combined with re-roofing the library portion of the building. I don't have a cost yet. I should have estimates by next week from contractors so that I can include that. So when we don't even have, there won't even be a due date till I think it's about August 1st, and that's just a tentative due date. So we have some time to get that done. I met with, Oh, now I forgot to bring that. Northwest, anyway, the ramp people today from Lansingburg.
First quote or second quote?
The second quote. I reviewed with him the placement, which we think is now good.
Towards the tree.
Well, yeah,
Towards
it
the
saves the
tree.
tree, it doesn't go right into the tree. My measurements were not quite as the same as his. I checked with in terms of materials and, the structure, and I'm happy with that, so I signed off and told him to go ahead.
Oh, excellent work.
His estimate is, 2 weeks.
Wow.
2
So,
weeks, the whole project?
yeah,
Wow. And this was just under $16,000?
just over, it's $15,000,
over.
$68,000.
Got it. Thank you.
$68 over,
And that's the whole cost of it.
yeah,
And when are they looking, do they have an estimated date when they would start?
yeah, now,
Now? Oh, so
we're
that's
signed right
exciting.
now. It's on order.
The access.
That's
Amazing.
exciting.
Well, thank you so much for working that process through.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Right.
Wait till it's actually installed.
Yes.
It's
It's a
interesting 'cause
90-degree angle.
it has some, it's got some flexibility to it too, in terms of, it's kind of adjustable. If you have issues where, okay, all of a sudden, the ground changes a bit, it is all adjustable, so they can really fix that. I mean, basically, you can call it a permanent installation. I mean, so. Anyway,
That's very exciting.
I was
Nice.
glad to clear that up.
Um,
One other thing too, the Northwest Parapet project is back and progressing again. They've got, they had 2 change orders that we had to approve, and they were really structural. And really needed to be done, and they would have had to been done later anyway, so we go ahead with those 2 change orders. And the giant, the giant crane is here tomorrow to put that block back up there.
they are, I thought it was too fractured to go back up.
No, they got it fixed, so
Oh, okay.
they told, I don't know,
Who does that?
it's fixed.
And structural engineers is okay with the way it's progressing.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent.
Did you review the change orders at all?
I've seen it, but I've not
Okay.
reviewed them.
I was mostly just curious as to what they were doing.
I think that's it,
Out of curiosity,
yes.
who made the decision to suspend meetings of the safety committee?
The committee.
Anyone have any questions for Paul?
So that means that committee is going to be suspended for about 6 months, we would expect? Is that correct?
I don't think it's gonna take 6 months to get it correct. There might be other thought processes about
Also,
suspension.
I feel like if Christiane wanted to start it, staff were interested in continuing it. Well, I don't see why that would be an issue. But that's an operations thing. So.
There's a couple of things that we do, that admin would do that are hinging on that, so
That's policy and,
yeah.
yeah,
there's the
no, I
other
understand that,
things.
yeah.
So personnel policies, depending on some other things that come out of safety committee, so that was part of the negotiation with the safety committee for people. So there's always more to the story. All right.
Quick question for Paul.
Yeah, go.
Have you heard from the contractors on when they anticipate completion of the cornice project now that are moving forward again?
I haven't asked a new date, they only rented that scaffolding for 3 months. I mean, it's kind of hanging over their heads.
Coming up on.
I know, the original thing, when I talked to Wayne the last time, it was supposed to be in the middle of June, you know, that they'd finish up. Probably towards the end of June, I would expect they'd be done.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, might be worth reminding that we assume that all costs associated with the discovered conditions were included in the proposals that have been approved, and that there would be no additional costs that would come to the project.
Yeah, I mean, right, they have to get approval for any change order, from the base bid. So, yeah, we can track that.
Thank you.
We don't lose. It's not like government contract. Anyway.
Thank you.
Um, old new business.
Oh, one other thing, I forgot, they're ready to bid the roof
Oh, good.
here. She's got everything done. I expect the next few days they'll get a bid.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, all right. Okay, if you think of anything else, just jump in. All the new business.
I'd like to ask that people send library email to my library address.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm guilty of that. So I will make that change.
It's actually, when you send it to my personal address, it's not even my current personal address, so it's iffy as to when I actually see it. Plus, the reason that the library accounts were established was that should our emails be subpoenaed, if it's restricted to your library account, then your personal email won't be subpoenaed, so.
Good.
So thank you. Sorry to bother you about it.
I'm laughing at the circumstances under which our emails would be subpoenaed. That would be quite funny.
I guess it
Not
would be-
really.
No.
Not really, not darkly, but yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know what we would do. Yeah.
Anyone else with any old or new business?
I have a piece of new business. This came out of a building committee meeting that we had. I talked to a local grant writer. Her name is Emily Curran. About her potentially working with the board, and our interim director to put in a consolidated funding application grants. She would tentatively be able to do this. Obviously for, for payment. Yeah.
Compensation.
For compensation. And she would have some questions, about the specific accounts, the details of it. So I thought it would be best. I forget the specific project you had in mind, at last month's meeting, and unfortunately I didn't make a note of it. But I thought I might invite her to our next building committee meeting to talk about, specifics, gauge whether it's something we would actually be interested in pursuing.
We could, sure.
You know how much the charge would be?
She said it was negotiable, but she gave me a rate of $100 an hour. But she said she would be willing to negotiate either flat fee or other means.
Do you know whether she's written CFA applications before?
I don't know specifically. I do know that it is her full-time job. And that's gonna bring it,
And even if it's not for this year, we can
potentially for next year.
always nice to know the resources.
Anybody else with new or old business? I wasn't sure when in our agenda it would be appropriate for this, but today is your last board meeting.
Oh,
Yeah. I have it down here. The next meeting is the 9th. I won't be here.
I know that. I did want to start off, especially with the auditor here, saying, guess what, last one, but I don't want to wait till public comment, but it's not gonna be the same at the table, whatever table we use.
Well, no, I've been sitting at this table for 34 years anyway.
So I just wanted to, I think we all want to know that this is your swan song with this. Not here,
Well-
but with the board meetings.
Board members seem to come and go, but directors, they
That's
hang
right.
out forever.
34.
Well, thank you, Paul, for all you've done. Appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. Thank
So do
you.
you have dinner reservations for July 9th?
Yeah, right.
Will you be zooming in?
No,
Will
really,
you just be sitting here in one of the chairs watching this?
let the man enjoy his retirement, please.
I think it's fun.
really, and no, it
Okay.
has been an honor to serve the library and be a part of this organization for so long.
And thank you for holding it together for so long. I know that that's occurred under very difficult circumstances over the years.
Yeah, there was, I still look back and, the 1 year, we used to, of course, get our funding through the city budget and through the county budget, and it was a tough year, and city budget came out and the library line was 0. And then the county budget came out and it was also 0. We had no funding. I think we ended up with a couple $100,000 to operate it. And that was it. So there's been some lean years.
Yeah, we closed Lansingburg twice. Right?
Yeah. No, we had to.
Sick leave.
And I think, you know, the main or the biggest, thing that we were able to accomplish is, establishing a district.
Absolutely.
And it stabilized funding and, you know, it's not quite as, wealthy as some suburban libraries, but we do okay.
We're a lot better off than we would have been
Oh, yeah.
without that.
Yeah, masters in our own fate.
Yep.
This is very great possible.
Well,
Just remember too, on that, whole decision, to establish the district, we had to go back and do it again. But when it was voted down, basically because, well, it wasn't voted down, but, the budget wasn't voted because they separated the question of establishing the district to funding it. So we couldn't establish it, but the board said, we're gonna go back and try again, and they did, and it passed, so. If the first you don't succeed, try
Right.
again.
and here we are.
And this is good for bonding too, by the way.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry to move on, and we still have some bits of business left. Oh, give her up. Community feedback.
Heard some folks picked up a lot of books from, the grand reopening of the bookseller in Lansingburg. They were very happy about that, so.
Well, Christiane and I went to Freedom Fest and there were a lot of people there who said they loved the library. Loved the library.
That's freedom.
It was a sanctuary for independent media.
We did.
It was. We were treated to some
Live music.
very lively music. They moved it indoors. So,
Oh.
So he was there as well.
pardon me?
My wife was there as well.
Huh? Oh, your wife, I probably didn't even,
Christian, like that.
oh, Christiane and I were there, sitting at the table.
Was there a library table there?
Yes, Christiane and I did
Oh,
a,
you were
Yep.
doing the tabling, not just attending.
yes.
And we had a lot of people opening up, museum pass flyers, so that seemed to be like a really hot ticket item. We did have someone do a survey, like right there, other people grabbed bookmarks, so hopefully we'll meet our goal of 500 people for one for the community survey, and obviously some program stuff that was, hit or miss, then whether it was adult stuff or family stuff, what have you, but the museum passes seemed to be like the first thing, and then after that was getting to the table, so. It was good. The music was a little loud, so we couldn't always engage with people.
That the call wasn't intended for inside.
No,
It was not intended for inside, it was supposed to be outside of the so. But I think, I don't know, we probably had 25, 30 people somewhere, go by the table, stop at the table, and then give it time. So
On the library.
no, the library cards, we opted not to because, we were getting, like a small table and just trying to process all of that, may have just been too much. And so the thought was, is that we'll see how the event goes, and if it's one of those that would be good to have the library cards, then we could do, do it. But I think that that particular event, just the way the nature of it, would be a good have that done, but we did have the cards they could fill out so that we could process their cards here and then work to get to them by phone, but nobody asked for a library card or asked any questions about library cards.
Yeah. That's no different than past experiences there, but you have the conversation and suggestions, and so it might not be a library card rich event, but still it's good being out there. So thank you for going out there and doing it.
When I worked it, everybody said they had a library card. There weren't a lot of people.
Yeah, they often say that. When they have a library. So anyway, I think sometimes it's good for us to just reach out, answer questions, engage, as opposed to always trying to get cards. So if we did something like going into the school, perfect place to sign up kids to get cards. But if there's, other types of events that are, not as loud, or, that a fair amount of people are coming, and, or maybe the flow of people is a little bit different, and, we can certainly reevaluate all of those.
Thank you.
I love the, why is it called the Freedom Fest? I just like in this day and age, that just sounds,
well, maybe because it's usually in Freedom Square, is that why? That's my guess, that Freedom Square is right there. next to it.
Yeah, it's usually there.
That's my guess.
makes sense.
And then they do another thing I think in Boston.
Story harvest.
Any other items of community feedback? Public comment.
Hi, this is Carol. I just want to say, I'm glad you, chose Christiane. She's got experience and I think, she'll do a great job. And I also want to thank Paul, for getting us through a pandemic, helping us get the New York State retirement, helping us get, permanent funding, and having a sense of humor, throughout all that. I appreciate you and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Then,
Just to remind everybody, this is old new, I don't know, old new business, but that worksheet is out there that I shared with everybody. I hope they got it, about the invites for, and please add people if you
Mhm.
feel
did you
so.
get the email? You do not want me going into your worksheet.
Right, I got the one for the,
Right, Reese?
yes,
Okay,
and so they went out today, so.
all right.
Thank you for putting together the invitation again. It was
Yeah,
great.
Joy was very instrumental in helping me get it out to everybody, so. She's not here to say thank you. I did thank her before.
The survey also went out to the staff today, so,
Mhm.
people have been accessing it. So that's-
I'll have to check. At some point.
So we are not scheduling another search committee meeting yet? Or are we at that point where we should?
Do we want to do it right now? And what's our next task? So
It could be the first agenda item.
Dan,
I mean, the job posting will be out, so,
it went to Tim.
yeah, sorry, I think it will be out.
Well,
in the
Tim,
feed,
Tim
so-
sent it back with revisions because he didn't understand why I sent it to him, so I'm gonna respond to him this evening. He did make some minor suggestions. He just shortened it a little bit.
I don't know if it's best to like wait a little bit till we have applications that have come in and schedule something maybe for like 2 weeks. I don't know. What's the best?
Probably just better to get it on the calendar though,
Yeah.
because it is summer and people are gonna start, then you can kind of plan around it, even if it's further out.
Yeah.
What if we did the last week of June?
Well, we won't be here.
We won't be here.
So, first week of July, I'm assuming people also might not be here. Second week of July. Second week of July. By then, we'll have ideally applications. We can discuss the review process. We can discuss interview questions, things like this. So,
So second week of July is the library meeting?
so we have the library meeting on the 9th, but is anyone available maybe the
I could do the 10th.
10th or 11th?
Can you do, the 10th? The 10th is Upper Hudson.
11 works for me.
11th?
Depends on the 10th too.
5:45. What about the 11th at 5:45?
5:45 works.
5:45 to 6:45.
Then we will have applications then.
And Tim has agreed to help us with any of the types of questions and the process again to make it more finite.
I'm sorry, when are we asking for the applications to be returned by?
The 15th of July.
The 11th.
Yes.
And then we should have unless we have the.
Stragglers or procrastinators, and there you go. Do we want,
They
You
might
want
have-
those
they
people?
might have just.
They might have just found it, you know? That could be a question we ask them in the
when,
interview.
how long ago did you see this? How long have you been contemplating?
When does the newsletter go out, the Nylon newsletter?
He sent it out, I believe, send it out weekly, plus it's
Yeah, I get a
also,
lot.
you don't always go to the newsletter as much as you go to Nine, Nine and their website, which has their job thing. So if someone's looking for a job, they're looking at it on a rotating basis. They don't have to wait till the newsletter comes out. Because when you look at the newsletter, it doesn't say, these are the jobs. It's like, what's in the news, what's going on.
No, but it lists jobs too.
Awesome.
Anything else? Going once, twice? Okay. Date and next time of next meeting, July 9th, 2024, 5:00 for finance, 5:30 for the regular meeting. And I shall make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Oh, we have 30 seconds. Are we all in favor? I think everyone was second. We are good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward.
Thank you all.